One of the questions I get asked a lot by people trying to test my Titanic knowledge is, how many toilets did the Titanic have for its 2,200 passengers and crew? Now, I'll give you the rough answer in a minute, see if you can guess if it's A, B, or C. First of all, let's get into how this all worked. Toileting back then was a little bit of a communal affair. What we would now call en-suites, that is, bedrooms with connected toilets today, were quite a rarity back in 1912. Even in first class, most passengers would have to put on their dressing gowns, go out into the hallways, find big communal toilet blocks to do their business, or, as it was still pretty common back then, they could simply use a chamber pot in their stateroom that would be emptied by a steward the next day. This was actually a reason why Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic, was scrapped in the mid-1930s, because she had so few ensuite toilets, and by that point, the travelling public was beginning to, expect a little bit more privacy when they went to the bathroom, and fair enough too. For travellers in third class and steerage, flushing toilets were still kind of a newfangled thing, and it could be a little bit unfamiliar for them. White Star Line instructed some of their stewards to help third-class passengers with the operation of flushing toilets after a series of unfortunate accidents during Olympic's early days in the darkened hallways and corridors of the ship. Gross. In any case, Titanic featured all the latest things in flushing toilets that used hand pulls or levers or even foot pedals to flush. They were made of fire clay, which is really durable stuff, and the seats were made out of timber, polished mahogany, something which had to be kept up at the time because women's suspenders would scratch them when they sat down. That can't have been a fun job. A lot of thought even had to go into how toilets on ships could flush at all, because the toilets had to be able to keep foul air and odours out from being brought back in up the pipes by wind and waves from the outside. Oh yeah, and of course the toilets just flushed directly over the side through little sanitary discharge ports that were at the waterline. They didn't show that part in the movie. For men, there were even urinals to use. In fact, Titanic may in many ways look a little bit antiquated and old-fashioned to us today, but the toileting facilities look really familiar and still pretty modern. But I digress. How many toilets were there on the Titanic? Well, if you'd guessed 285, you would be correct. According to researcher Matthew de Winkleer, that's 285 toilets for 2,200 men, women, and children. You do the math.